Hello, I'm Kelly and I draw things. Welcome back to another studio vlog, and this is going to mostly focus on a watercolor painting that I'm doing for my Patreon for January. So I have my sketchbook and I've been doing a lot of live streaming on TikTok, and essentially I put a prompt up above, I write it on a piece of paper and I put it above the sketchbook and then I draw what people suggest. And a lot of them are food based because I like drawing food. I just think it's fun, and so I picked one of my favorites. Let me see if I can find it. I picked this one and I'm reformatting it a little bit to fit my 5x7 template because this is square. 5x7 is not square. But I took it into Photoshop and kind of laid it out. Now I'm going to print it out and use my light pad, which is like a light table, but it's small and it's portable. I'm gonna use that to ink the design onto watercolor paper, and I can use watercolor to color it. And I don't think I've done a watercolor Patreon print. To my knowledge, I haven't done watercolor in a while, so I think it'll be fun and it'll be good. So first is the setup. I want to work at an angle so it doesn't hurt my back. Working flat on the table, you kind of have to hunch over to do it, and after a while my neck and shoulders start to hurt. So if I take it and I elevate it by piling something underneath, it'll be better, theoretically. So probably do books, and I use some tape to secure it sometimes, but ideally I would use a drafting table, but taping a light pad to a drafting table sounds like a terrible idea, especially since my drafting table is glass and if something drops, I'm afraid it's gonna break. So let's kind of set up my area and I'll talk about my tools and then I'll start painting. So I wanted to pop in and just explain that I realized my paper was vertical, so my light pad should probably be vertical. So I just rotated it so it fit the paper better. And I happen to have the light pad the exact same size as the paper, so now it fits really well. Okay, so step one is inking. I'm going to use the chunkiest micron pen I have ever used. It is a 12 and I like it because I get really solid lines. I'm trying to use up what I have, so that's what it looks like. It's going to shrink down to 5x7, which is, I don't know, smaller, maybe yay big, so it'll get more delicate, but chunky line work is kind of something I'm feeling right now. So I'm gonna get started, put something up to watch or listen to, and get going. good lunch break. Well, early dinner break, it's 4 o'clock, but I've inked my cat, Baker, and my food, which I changed some stuff as I went because I didn't remember what some of them were because they were so poorly drawn. And there. And so I would replace stuff with I'll replace it with pancakes, and I had pancakes down here and I was like, oh no. And so I changed it to French toast, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna change it to a sandwich, and I had another sandwich. I'm like, oh no, I'll change it to avocado toast. And I did some filler, like I have some M&Ms and Skittles and stuff, but I think it's cool. I'm gonna watercolor it. I'm gonna scan it first in case I hate the watercolor, and then I'll have one I can color digitally if it's awful. Same thing with Catman, Baker Cat. So scan as a precaution, and then I'm gonna watercolor. So as I paint these in, I thought I would talk a little bit about the inspiration for the sticker. So I was watching the live action version of Beauty and the Beast, which I really like, and the baker came on, at the very beginning. He's even in the first song where she insults his bread and she says his bread is the same as always. But I was like, he has a great costume. And so I was using that as inspiration, and then unfortunately, this is a little bit of a memorial piece. I got 2 cats for my birthday when I was 10, and they were 19 years old this year, almost 20, and they both passed away. And so this is Tiger, and he was a orange and white giant cat. And he lived a very pampered life of an indoor cat, so he will be missed, but yeah. Anyway, moving on to food. So I didn't want to do every color under the sun. I wanted to keep this a little limited so it was more cohesive. So I started with blue and started popping that in places, and then some green and yellows and oranges and reds. I didn't really use any purple. A little bit of pink just kind of happened when the red got light enough. But not doing watercolor for a while and then doing this was really nice. And now I'm actually on this mixed media kick, kind of, and I think this started it. I go through phases of what materials I really like to use, and I have these sketchbooks I'm working in, and the paper isn't built for it, but I'm doing mixed media anyway, so watercolor has worked its way back into my personal work, at least for now, and it's been nice. I enjoy it. Something else I was thinking about for the food is I want to spread out the color a little bit. I don't want all the yellow piled on one side, then it'll be really uneven. So that's why I'm jumping around as I go instead of just starting at the top and working my way down, which would be wise because then I wouldn't drag my hand through it like I did a couple of times. But that way there's a little more color balance throughout the composition. Then after they dry and I scan them, I take them into Photoshop to tweak the colors. Very rarely when you scan something will it look exactly how it did on paper, and so I just change it so it's closer to what I envisioned. And I knew for the cat I wanted a blue background. I'd seen a sticker that did it and I was like, oh, that looks nice, and so I wanted to try it out. And oh my gosh, I am in love with it. I got the physicals in today. And it looks so good. It looks so much more cohesive than what it would have looked like with the white, and so I'm prepared to do that for future stickers as well, and I'm really excited about it. And then for the food, I needed to tweak it so it wouldn't like get cut off when it was print, and I tweaked the colors a little bit to be a little bit more cohesive. You can see here it's kind of fidgeting around. And like I started doing shadows a certain way after I did the pineapples, and I like changed the pineapple, I had my signature in, And then I saw a lot of dead space, so I cheated and I grew some more cheeses. And then it was all nice, and I did a test print and it looked good. I like how it turned out. I have quite a few of these live draw pages, and I think it'd be fun to experiment with really limited color palettes, but I like how many colors I used here. And then here is that test print, and it looked really good. Like sometimes you print it, you go, and you have to really adjust it, but it looked nice. Good morning. It is the next day. I have scanned and edited slightly, which you saw, the print, and it's ready to go. I did a test print because I was worried about the croissant being cut off on the border and the pie, but it fits, so it's ready to go. It's cute. I was a little like iffy about this. I put a poll out on Patreon because I was like, well, people really want just like a ton of food, and they did. So here we are. And it's fun that I got to use one of my live stream things to make a print. So that'll be on Patreon for January. And I have to make my printable, which would make a calendar, because near beginning of the year, calendar makes sense. And for my digital download, I'm going to add a background to the cat and color it in and have him as a mobile wallpaper, I think. Yeah. But thanks for watching along on this process of watercolor painting and stuff like that. This is on Patreon for January. It's also in my leftover shop, the secret shop on Patreon, and any leftover stickers that I have will be there too. Thank you to my patrons for making this video possible. You guys are great. If you want to know more about Patreon stuff, that link is in the description. But thanks for watching. I appreciate all the views and stuff, and have a great day. Bye.